I just got back from my old institute where I used to be a PhD student. I used to be a researcher for many years, and I had not been back there since almost 6 years, actually. I had a good time. I was one of the presenters on a career event that the PhD students organize every year, and I showed them my career choices outside of academia. Still, I wanted to challenge many of the PhD students in the audience, especially those thinking that the freedom that you get in academia is much more superior than the ones that you get outside of academia. I'll tell you how that went. All right. So I returned to where it all started, the Netherlands Cancer Institute, where I did my PhD. And it was a bit of a traumatic experience, but at the same time, it was pretty exciting. I had not been there for a long time, and this time I walked in through the front door, the main doors, with a shirt on. I was the presenter. As a PhD student, I researched cancer, epigenetics, and gene editing. And now I was going to tell the PhD students in the audience about my choices after academia as a science communicator, coach, and mentor. And the reason I wanted to challenge them was not to be dismissive or arrogant, but there is something many non-academics might be unaware of, and it is that the walls of academia are thick. What I mean by that is that it's a closed environment where leaving is stigmatized. Somehow we have labeled leaving academia as something that resembles giving up or weakness, even though we know that most of the people starting a career in academia will not complete their careers in academia. Still, we treat people who want to leave academia as if they were worth less. Luckily, my old institute, since about 10 years, started promoting, or at least highlighting, in theory, the world outside of the academic walls. A very sound way of looking at things, especially considering that many people are not going to succeed in academia. So when this type of career event started, while I was a PhD student, I would attend. I think I shared the same type of questions with many people in the audience, which was, do you still have freedom outside of academia, the same type of freedom as we have here? And while I know where we were coming from with this question, I eventually realized that feelings of freedom are relative and often deceiving. I'll explain what I mean by that. During my PhD, I had a mixed feeling about academic research. I truly loved the academic freedom that we had. We could collaborate with whoever we wanted inside and outside of the institute. We could network, we could start new projects from scratch, from zero. We could discuss science and other interesting stuff with other scientists. And the conditions were phenomenal to learn and advance intellectually. But especially by the end of my PhD, I started realizing that this is not for me. I don't want to be a researcher anymore, because I used to have this academic dream mapped out. And it's a dream that I shared with many, maybe even most academics once they start this linear traditional path that academia offers you, which is that first you do your PhD, then you find a postdoc, and then maybe another postdoc, and then you find a junior group leader position, and then you become an established group leader. And for some people, it includes also becoming a professor, but for me, this was the dream. I wanted to become a group leader. But I lost that dream at some point during my PhD. And I guess I will never know exactly why I lost it, if it was the conditions during my PhD, or if it had to do with that I inherently didn't want to live that type of life. The thing that I know is that I spent, I think, too much time scrolling through the catalog of career choices that had nothing to do with science. And I looked into becoming a personal trainer, a physiotherapist, going back to study psychology again. And eventually, by coincidence, I stumbled upon the idea of becoming a science communicator. I went to a larger career event in another city, and I realized that I had been talking with people in the publishing industry about science communication the whole day. And also I had recently started my blog, and I realized that I really enjoyed, publishing about science and the misconceptions in science. And my question was now, why can I not do that, but now professionally? So in the spirit of being a researcher, I started investigating how to become a science communicator. And the information about science communication and how to become one is incredibly chaotic and scattered. But after networking, joining associations, enrolling in courses, and just connecting with people, I eventually became a science communicator. And since then, I've been freelancing as a type of science journalist. I've been working as a scientific content writer at a biophysics company, in-house marketing. Then I've been a senior medical writer at the European Medicines Agency, where I entered mid-pandemic. So it was both scary and exciting at the same time, since I got the behind-the-scenes information about all these medicines that were relevant during the time. And not only COVID, but a bunch of other diseases, many of them that I had never heard about before. So that was cool stuff, but eventually I realized that I wanted to go back to my own project, having my own business. So I went back to writing for pharmaceutical companies, biotech, and today I write and I coach scientists and science communicators and companies and other individuals who need help with starting projects, purposeful projects, and who need to improve their communication and storytelling. And this is what I do. And I love doing it because it also gives me the opportunity to have this channel. I'm learning the whole time. I sucked a lot when I started, and now I'm better. And I can always get better. But anyway, I think that we need to improve the communication and storytelling of scientists, both for society and for science. And then I think that science communication, or communication in general, is something that can benefit anyone. So I feel that I'm doing a purposeful job in a way. So yeah, by choosing to get out of academia, by choosing science communication, I sacrificed the pipetting or discovering new molecular pathways and mechanisms. But in some way, it gave me much more freedom to tailor and adapt my career choices depending on me and my needs and the needs that I saw around me. And I think that this is something that the academic path, the linear academic path, could not give me. And that's not even talking about other career choices outside of academia. I'm just talking from my perspective. Anyway, as I said, this is not a way to dismiss anyone. If you want to stay in academia, that's great. I love academic freedom. I love the fact that we can work on our projects without any or limited interference from outside. And I love the type of skill sets that we get in academia that go beyond the type of skill sets that are required for the particular PhD project, for example. We learn to look at things in detail, but to see the overall picture. We learn to be comfortable with starting new projects from scratch and learning new stuff. And also we learn to digest complex information and look at it critically and confront erroneous information. This is all great. But once you decide to deviate from the linear traditional pathway of academia, that's when the path starts pointing you in the direction of the exit sign. That's also when the freedom expires. I guess that's what I mean when I say that the feelings of freedom are relative and often deceiving. Anyway, no matter if you're in academia or outside of academia, I'd be curious to know, do you have freedom? I know this was a little bit of a deviating topic, but don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment. I want to hear your ideas. And if you want to learn how I learned to think independently, check out this video. Otherwise, see you next time. Peace.